Welcome to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people,
where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge that magic has to offer.
A place to illuminate and demystify all things magical.
We are your magical co-hosts. I am Annalisa.
Reverend Raven here.
Adriana.
Tune in every Tuesday where we're dropping new episodes every week about our own personal magical stories.
Have a spanking good time.
And sprinkle some interviews in between.
There is so much magic here. Keep coming back every week. Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Stay magical.
So do we just want to kind of jump in and like open the floor and kind of see where we go?
I think so. Let's just go ahead and, like all great things, get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hello, people. It's Magical Aspirations. We're talking about spirit magic today. Let's go, ladies.
Woo!
Let's go.
How are y'all this morning?
We are here.
We are here. I am slowly feeling more lively by the moment.
Yes. Yeah, I second that.
Yes. So this has been a fun endeavor for us to try to get this episode recorded because not once but twice we tried and Spirit said, "Nah, we've got other plans for you." So we're just gonna dive right in. We got all kinds of shit to talk about. Everybody's got notes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got cards. Adriana, what you got for us first today, girl?
Well, hello, Spirit. So I'm just gonna talk about my tarot card that came out, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for the folks at home, I am playing with the Afro Avatar Tarot deck. It is my go-to right now. And I pulled cards just to see, like, what is it that I need to talk about today in relation to spirit. And funny enough, I pulled the Nine of Swords, 10 of Wands, and then the clarification card was the Death card.
Ooh.
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts about that. Immediately upon looking just at the Nine of Swords and the 10 of Wands, it feels very much like a balance of, spirit and all the woo, the light, the love, the excitement. But then there's also a balance of like, this shit is real. There are consequences. There's also a tendency to go off the deep end for some folks if they don't stay grounded. Like spirit is great, but also we are humans as well. And so I feel like that's going to come up in that death clarification. I think has a lot to do with like change and transformation. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Funny thing, that card that I was like, oh, I don't know about this that I just pulled. That was the 10 of Wands.
What? Okay.
In my deck, it's called Burden. And there's 3 vultures flying around. And there's like, it's a wasteland. And it's like a dead tree. And there's like the rocks are all gray. And there's like no color in it. And one of the rocks has a face in it. And it looks like a lot of despair. And the little write-up in my book, which is very small, I have the Shapeshifter Tarot deck here. Burden card, it says trials, wasted energy, and distress.
Yeah.
So like through our trials, like what are we going to learn? How are we going to change that? The card that was on the bottom of my deck was the God of Earth. So the chemicals. Sue, and this is like, how are we going to manifest things on Earth?
Right.
What are we going to learn from these trials to manifest on Earth what we want and what we need to manifest?
Which is so fitting to the 2 times that we tried to record this, and then now we're
right. Well, and so in conjunction to the cards you guys pulled, I am starting to kind of prep for this last night. Went ahead and reached over. It's it's the Golden Nouveau Tarot, and I have a couple of that tarot and then the Everyday Witch Tarot. I bounce back and forth between, and so I pulled 2 cards for myself from the Everyday Witch Tarot earlier this week. The King of Swords and the High Priestess. So amidst knowing that we were trying to do this conversation, we knew it was going to be a highly intuitive week. being in control and the master of our emotions. I already knew that. And yesterday was the fucking proof of that because I had a very trying day and it took all of my magical effort up until this morning to actively feel better about it. But the two cards that I pulled last night, we knew we were coming into spirit magic. And that is such a different definition for everyone, right? Everybody learns about it differently. Everybody connects to it differently. Be you connecting through magic, through witchcraft, through religion. It's about the connection to source no matter what. So the first card that I pulled was obviously the Magician, like how fucking funny. Because okay, great. We're going to talk about being magicians for the spirit magic episode. But then I also pulled the inverted Hierophant. And the reason that that is significant for me is because where I'm at in my tarot journey, I don't read inverted cards. I'm trying to focus on the symbolism of everything upright first before I take on a whole new duplicate meaning of everything. And I specifically shuffle my cards, keep them in an upright position. They are never upside down. So what does this say for the Hierophant to be upside down? Obviously, it's all about that we're relearning about our connection to spirit. Like Becky was saying about that, it's about the manifesting that we're doing. In the book that I go to often for if I need a little assistance on what the cards mean, it's the Revelations Tarot Companion. I don't have the deck itself. This book was given to me by Michelle the Oracle, P per episode. But the 10 of Wands, it says, he bears the burden of 10 wands ambitiously. He exerts immense control over them with the power from within. And I thought, let me read the invert of that. And I never do, but it also says he realizes that he has taken on too much of a task and the wands break out of formation. Fascinating, isn't it? How all of us being on opposite ends of the country, more or less, we put our hands to the cards and we still got the same message with different cards.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I love the death card. I do love when the death card comes up. That is not, I'm much more afraid of like the 10 of Swords than I would ever be of the death card. Like, it's just so fascinating. Oh, yay. I got spirit goosebumps. Yay.
Yeah, I am so with you. Like anything 8 to 10 of Swords has me trembling.
Ooh,
but the death card is like, oh, okay, cool.
It's just a change, you know?
It's just a change. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. What's funny is you mentioning it was the inverted Hierophant, you said?
Mm-hmm.
It made me think about like as above, so below, as within, so without. And how we refer to like everything that's happening here in the human world is also a reflection, a mirror of what's happening in the spirit world. And my God, if there is a truth to that, no wonder we are all feeling all the things.
Yeah.
Spirit teams are feeling the things.
Do you actually want to have a giggle with me real quick? Because all right, people, this
Please.
is real live magic happening right now. I had not, my brain clicked that this was the inverted Hierophant. And like, I didn't even go back and question it. Only now that I have turned it right side up, it's actually the inverted Emperor. Let's decode that message because I just got some like really big chilies down my back. Okay, that spirit, what are you trying to tell us there? Let's break that down because
well, it's control. It's control.
It is. It's all the same fucking message.
It's all the same fucking message.
Well, that's interesting because the beginning of when we were trying to record this episode, it was when it was the Capricorn full moon and the Cancer season, Cancer sun and Capricorn moon, and all of the interpretations that I was reading about that. We're talking about letting go of the feeling that you have to be in control of the things that you aren't in control of. Let go of those patterns that are toxic for you. Let go of those things that you are holding on to for no reason, or just because it was the way that we did them, before.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because that was, when we were trying to record the first time.
Right. And we really did. We tried to push through quite a few times. Like, no, we're going to do this. No, we're going to do this. And I have this really sassy yes or no kind of. It's the Illuminator 8-ball tarot. Or it's not even a tarot, it's just like, let's see. The message that I just popped up is visualize your desire, and it's beautiful. But anyway, as we were trying to push through and record, I was trying to actually record the episode on the platform we were using to have our call. And as I was having difficulties with this, I whipped out that deck because it always gives me really clear and concise answers. You are funny, deck. I really like you. And it literally, I'll post pictures. I took pictures of all of them. It was like, no, a couple of other things. And as we're sitting here talking about reaching out to spirit through the cards with the messages we need, the card it just gave me was ask an ally. Isn't that so interesting that like spirit is here to be our ally through these things? Like, what if we had tried to push through and record maybe an episode that we didn't have all the knowledge we needed to give you guys? Like, the message may not have hit home. Like, I'm really fascinated. What lessons have we learned in the 2 weeks since we've tried to initially record this episode?
Oh, shut
Yeah. Yeah, and I found this graphic to go back to what I was talking about. This definitely answers your question. Realizing where we hold on to structures, rules, and strategies that limit us and keep blocking us from truly growing. So I had a moment about a week ago where, I was getting really frustrated, and I was, I've been getting up at different times. My workouts were being done at different times during the day or not at all. And I just said, like, in frustration to my partner, I was like, I just do not have a routine right now, like getting really frustrated. I just do not have a routine. And he looks at me and he grabs his magic wand off of the refrigerator. Spoon that has been wood burned that I got him, his magic wand, and he says, "Bibbidi bobbidi poutine. You do not need a routine."
I love your husband. Yes.
Oh my God. Leave it to the Pisces to bring that magic.
Bibbidi bobbidi poutine. I do not need a routine. I am hijacking that. That's
oh my God. That is a true support right there.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. And so since then, I've been trying to release like what I think I need to be doing versus the things that feel like I need to be doing.
yeah. Oh, that's a word right there. I gotta take a deep breath over that, because that is such a. I love when we get into these chats because these messages are just so. Like I said earlier, we're on 3 separate sides of the country, and yet we're all working ourselves through the same shit.
Yeah.
Because we don't really need a routine. And I was really thinking about, there was a moment where I kind of got in my feels about missing recording this episode. And then we tried again earlier this week, and the weather was shit here. So my internet was being stupid, and we were all just kind of burnt. And like, we control the routine. Like, routine doesn't have to necessarily control us. Like, I am really grateful that in season 3, and I feel like I've said this before, we've learned giving ourselves grace, because this is important. I really feel passionately about the messages that we're trying to get across here. And I'm really proud of us, because I know that we're all a bunch of control freak perfectionists for not like feeling that, like, having the feet to the fire feeling, of like having to just like crank out content because content needs to be made. Like, I'm really proud of us for that. And I think that that's a message that needs to bleed into the rest of my life,
I agree. What's the saying? Like, if you want to make God laugh, come up with a plan. Like, that was
right.
That was literally us.
That right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so interesting that it came up with the spirit section of the whole series, because spirit really does move on their own time. And so when we try to force things outside of that timing of things we don't even know are being affected, we don't even know all the influences at play.
Exactly. And Becky, is it okay if we talk about what happened when we tried to initially record this episode with the wind chimes? And all that jazz?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the #1 on my post-it note list.
Yeah.
Perfect. Becky, tell the people what happened.
So we were trying to record, and I was down at my mom's new home, down on a farm in southern Indiana. And she is with her new partner. They're going to be getting married a month from today, actually. So excited about that. And we were outside. I keep saying we because you guys were with me. On the porch, and there are 3 sets of beautiful wind chimes. And they're not those little tiny ones that make the ding, ding, ding noises. They're the big, deep ones. And they sounded amazing. They sounded so magical, and just going through in the background, while we were talking and everything. And I wanted to include them in the recording because I really felt like it was spirit talking through the wind chimes. And each of these set of wind chimes were in memory of someone who had passed away. And so that made them even more powerful to me. The sound of the chime represents the spirit of the person that they were, bought for or in remembrance of. And we were up there listening to the wind chimes, and every time we tried to record, it just wouldn't work. And I had to laugh, and I kind of walked away, and I shared the story with Adriana and Annalisa that one of the sets of wind chimes, the ones that were calling to me the most, were for the lady who used to live in the home, my mom's new partner's wife of over 30 years. That was her home, where she actually passed away there in the home. And I felt like maybe she wasn't sure about me being there and me recording. Her son is still having, I would say, issues maybe coming over to the house because that was the home where his mother had passed away in. And it's a very tender subject. And I just felt like she maybe wasn't ready for all of that to be happening in her home.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel anything negative, like she was pushing me away or anything like that. I just got the feeling that she was saying, not yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so obviously we wanted to be respectful of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did. We acknowledged that. And this, I tried to go back. We were able to record maybe just like 20 or so minutes of us just kind of chit-chatting about the whole thing, about how clearly spirit was trying to get the message across. Like the wind chimes were so loud. I have some big headphones that I wear when we record, and like they were like taking up all of my sound. And I actually went back to try and see if I could piece out some of those wind chimes, and it didn't save. Nothing saved, nothing recorded. Like that was meant to be, I think, a dual thing for us. Obviously, a lesson in, like, Becky, you have new spirits that you have to connect to now with your mom's new connection. But a message for us about respect and like spirit respect, and I think like ancestral respect. Like, it's not like we were trying to be ugly or anything like that. Like, we're just over here bopping about our normal routine, trying to just push through things. And spirit was like, y'all, nah.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm really glad that we are all perceptive enough to have not, to recognize that was not the thing to do at that time.
Yeah, and it was interesting that you said that you weren't able to get a recording of it because of the wind chimes, because when I tried to record them, the sound of just the wind chimes, they would be going very heavily. The wind would be blowing and there was a lot of noise. And like, as soon as I would record, it would like kind of stop. It would kind of die down. And then my mom, we were outside later in the day, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to record those wind chimes again. And my mom didn't know I was recording. And so we were just standing out there, enjoying being outside. And as soon as the wind chimes would start going again, then my mom would start talking. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm not really supposed to record this.
Yeah.
That was a moment for us,
That's that makes sense. Especially because they're, symbolic of different people who are there and connect to the land. It's just like, I think there was a moment when I had went to go visit my grandpa at his gravesite, and each time I tried to record a video to send to my dad, all of a sudden I didn't have storage. And then I leave and I'm taking a picture. I'm at the store just to make sure that the item I'm getting is correct. Take a picture, fine, just fine.
No
Right.
issues.
No issue at all. It's like Spirit saying, nah, this isn't to be recorded, it's to be witnessed. It's to be experienced. Yeah. Oh, Spirit.
Oh, and that's another God being present. Hasn't that been a message of this past couple weeks? It's been getting caught up in the drudgery of life sometimes. That's one of my biggest struggles I've been having lately. Like I said yesterday, I kind of had a very trying day, and I came home and was kind of grumpy, and wasn't like outwardly grumpy. It was just like my mind was grumpy, and it did. I had to come home and burn some herbs and put some salt in my shower, try and really like I pulled out all the big magical bags, and it really made such a difference. It really made such a difference. And I think that that's such a word about when we intentionally reach out. I called on the ancestors and was like, y'all, I'm going to need some extra help because there's some bullshit coming in here that I can't keep away on my own. And like able to like take like a fuller breath, and like you can feel things kind of like lift off. I've been feeling a lot of big gratitude for the ancestors lately.
Definitely. I feel like they are all coming through very loud with the messages about self-care though too. And maybe taking care of ourselves in a way that they did not or were not able to take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that they could not. I was laying in bed the other night, and my right hip has been giving me just a ton of trouble lately. And I'm sure that that's probably more emotional than actual physical. And like it's like the right middle part of the very base of my spine. And I just kind of started like pounding my mind as I was falling asleep with some affirmations. And they're not going to let me remember exactly what the wording was, but it was just basically about like, it's okay to feel safe. Like I am allowed to feel that. And even now, as I'm saying that, the pain is kind of shifting a little bit. Do y'all relate to that right now? Is that just me, or is everybody feeling some low back, deep hip pain that we're all
definitely
through?
Yeah. Well,
I feel like it's all emotional and spiritual.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we've been doing yoga this week, restarted. First time I've worked out since the move, actually. And Adam and I have been doing yoga every other day right now.
Yeah.
Releasing, especially coming through in like the hips and lower back area.
Well, it is Cancer season after all.
That is true.
And Cancer is very much connected and oftentimes thought to be maternal in ways. And we know maternal connects to the womb, connects to the hips, connects to the emotions, all the things. That Cancer Capricorn axis is very much like mommy daddy issues, upbringing, parental structure, going against the structure, tradition. So yeah, definitely checks out. Definitely checks out. Yeah, the lower back has been on fire for me as well. I don't know. I feel like you need to release some things, do some stretching.
I've been stretching so much.
Yeah.
I'm still, but working through. We'll figure out. We'll get there what it is. But it's definitely personal. It's fascinating to read all the things that people are posting about, like just the big collective shifts and things that are going
Mhm.
on. The sun's been doing all kind of stuff this past week.
Yeah.
There's been solar flares, and I don't know all the terminology of all of that yet. I've only just started paying attention, but it is really fascinating to see. It's also super fascinating. So we were able to, my older sister, my younger sister, and then my longtime adopted sister, um, my best friend since we were 5. We got to have like an adult hangout weekend this weekend, which was really fun. And it's also really fascinating to see. So we are talking a lot about the ancestors, obviously. But Becky, in the Reverend Raven's reflection last week that we posted, you were talking about passing on the knowledge to the next generation.
Mhm.
Um, my older sister, she cracks me up because she's a whole ass Sagittarius and has just like gone full witch on me. It's the most precious thing. We've never really talked a lot about, religion, spirituality, much of anything like that. We obviously were born and raised in the Catholic Church, so like we have that connection. But it's fascinating to see like a whole new loop of people starting to maybe like open up their eyes a little bit. And then on the same side of that, like my sister and I now have this new common ground to connect on.
Mm.
And like that's really fascinating. Like it feels like second chancey almost.
Hmm.
Because she and I have had a tumultuous past. But since my godkids have been born and all that stuff, we've definitely bygones are bygones, and we've started to connect on a much deeper level. And I find that really fascinating that it's of all of the things for us to reconnect on, it's this.
Mm.
She'll send me
Mhm.
things and I'm like, I have a podcast about that, right?
Awesome.
That's
But I think
precious.
that goes back to, I remember us talking about in the past, how close that you are to your god kids, Lisa, how much that you
Mhm.
care about them and love them and you want what's best for them.
I do. I do. I do.
Mhm.
And that also loops me around to speaking about them, the inner child work that's been going on lately. I've been trying to remind myself to like smile more and have more fun. And at our Sister Fest 2023, I got some
Mhm.
hair tinsel put in, and like that
Ooh.
it's this like quiet little like homage to who I really
Mhm.
am on the inside. I'm just this like shiny, sparkly thing all the time. Like I love glitter. I love anything iridescent. It's like I've got these little like holographic tinsel strips in my dark hair. That's just like, oh, hello. She's having
Yes.
fun today. Like that, it's little things like that. Have y'all been doing any little things to help nurture the inner child and get through this emotional Cancer season?
I don't know what it was, but since we moved here, I got back into my stuffed animal love.
Yeah.
I went through like a whole phase where I threw away, or I didn't throw them away. I donated all of the stuffed animal. I had like over 30 stuffed animals from my childhood, and I got rid of all of them because they just
Oh,
felt I was mad at the world. I was mad at myself.
yeah.
So I got rid of most of them. I kept one. And so yeah, since we moved here since last year, I have restarted that stuffed animals, and now I have like a little collection sitting in my closet. I'm like, ah, yay.
Yes.
Oh.
Fun to look at.
I love that. I had so many stuffed animals. That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this about the move. I had to get rid of a lot of things to make room
Yeah.
for everything here. And we found a few more boxes up in the attic and the garage before we moved. And we thought it was all stuff that had just been left there before. And our friend Chris went up there because it's a like really rickety little ladder and stuff. It's not very safe to be up there. So we're like, we didn't put anything up there of value. And so we start going through, and there was like, a box of my memorabilia, and we open it up and there is Becky Bear. So
Aw.
Becky Bear was made for me when I was a baby in the hospital. So I came home from the hospital and met Becky Bear. So I
Stop.
just found Becky Bear in the move.
Oh my
And
God.
So Becky Bear is getting ready to celebrate her 40th birthday as well.
What? Oh my
Within the
God,
next
that
few
is
weeks.
so
So
cool.
that's
So
pretty cool
cool.
to be able to find her right
Oh
around
my
this time frame.
God.
So.
Becky, but where did Becky Bear come
Yeah.
from?
Verna, my actually my dad's cousin made her for me, and my dad was a huge
Mm.
collector of teddy bears.
Mm.
Had
Aw.
like different kinds, from all over the world, like the fancy ones from different places, and so he was big into collecting bears, and so his cousin made me the Becky Bear. So I had my own bear whenever I came home from the hospital.
That is so precious.
That is
Yeah.
precious.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aunt Verna. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
That's precious. I love the silliness of a stuffed animal. Like not the silliness, but like the preciousness of
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
I think I still have a bunch of them at my mom's house. I really hope. Same like you, Adriana. I don't know. I might have gotten angry at the world and pitched them all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I always
Mhm.
buy Achilles. He's my big pit bull rescue mix. He always has toys, and he's got this one little. It was the very first toy that I got him when I rescued him. It's now just like a green fuzzy ball, but it used to be like a little Frankenstein. He like ripped the feet off, and he ripped off Frankenstein's little neck
Casual.
bolts. Yeah.
Right.
And so he puts them all in his bed, and he's really cute about it. So I do, even though I haven't had my own stuffed animals, I do realize that I get kind of the same joy from like seeing all of his toys. And like every time I go to the pet store, I bring one home and he gets excited. And it's just that's a good inner child reminder that I truthfully hadn't even thought of until this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I love
that
stuffed
is-
animals.
that we brought that up because the other stuffed animal that was in the box with Becky Bear was from Care Bears, Sunshine Bear. He was my jam.
Mm.
You can imagine as a Leo baby that Sunshine Bear was my favorite.
That's right on time.
And that brings me to talk about the sunflowers around here.
Yes, the sunflowers.
So we have not planted any sunflowers here. My mom did not in the 5 years that they've been here. So all the sunflowers on the property are all volunteers. And the first one opened up 2 weeks ago in the front yard. It's the only one open in the front, but in the backyard, she must have had more bird feeders back there because there are so many sunflower plants.
Mm.
One of the plants has 9 blooms on it.
Good.
Oh my
Lord.
God.
I have never seen a sunflower with multiple blooms, and this one has 9. So right now, 3 are open on the one plant, and there are like I think 6 that are open now in the backyard. And sunflowers are something that bring me so much joy whenever I see them. I love that the sunflowers follow the path of the sun. But I also love that whenever it's gray, that they turn towards each other for light.
Mhm.
I love that message of the sunflower.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel that that's so powerful that whenever things are dark and gray, that we can turn to each other for light.
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel that about you guys.
Yeah, I was just about to say, well, that's kind of what we do here, huh?
I think that's really what we do. We do hear another lesson I've learned this season has been not paying so much attention to how many listens and things that we have. And I have found that for me personally, this season has been a very fulfilling conversation season for me. Like I feel like we've been able to connect on a really deep level, and like you guys are definitely my sunflowers. We've talked about it many times this season, especially that we feel one type of way when we start, and by the end I feel lighter, I feel brighter. Like I feel like I can embody, well, I'm going to get emotional. I feel like I can embody the sunflower a little more, like sometimes it's so hard. I see. Okay, like the visual I'm getting, Becky, as you're talking about like the sunflowers not opening yet is the sunflower being closed, right? I feel like that a lot, that there's like all of this like inner brightness on the inside sometimes, and it's hard to open it up, like through
Mhm.
not boundary setting, but like with like energy boundary setting. Like
Mhm.
sometimes I know people feed on my energy a little bit, and I put up so much effort to put up a wall to keep that out. And sometimes it's hard to turn the brightness on,
Mhm.
like for fear of wanting to be seen, right? And
Mhm.
this and you guys help me so much with that.
Yeah, I second that. It's been like a the past 2 seasons were very us sharing knowledge, connecting with other people, having these interviews, but this season feels like
Mm.
a whole fat ass therapy session, and
Yes.
and I'm like, "Wow,
Yes. Yes.
okay." Like, we're really diving in, and I love that. It feels like this is, like, the intimacy building session.
Yeah. Ooh, big
Um,
chilies there.
yeah. Yeah, so ah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff for sure.
It is, and it's juicy. And I have a question for you, Becky. So kind of on that vulnerability moment. Um, okay, so when we tried to record and we decided to move it along, that's what prompted you recording the Reverend Raven's reflection. And
Mhm.
we gave you the mission of rest. Did you do it?
I
How did
did. Guess what happened?
Good.
Bitch
What
got
happened?
sick.
Wow. Well,
Yep. I got sick on Thursday last week and I had to rest.
Ah, there you go.
I recorded on Friday. I was sitting on the porch in the sun, you know, as I needed to get out and feel the sun and everything. And I was going to go camping with Adam. His cousin had been at the campground for the 4th of July and invited us down, and I could not go. I had to stay home because I did not feel good and I rested. I wasn't able to compulsively check my email every 10 minutes to see if I got that job offer yet, or looking for the job posting that they weren't going to reply to me about, or
Mhm.
all of these other things because I was sick and I had to take care of myself.
Yep.
So what I did during that time, besides rest, I poured a lot into myself with nutrition and made a lot of wholesome foods with you know, vegetables that were from the area. The only place that I went to was the farm market. I got fresh tomatoes and lettuce and peaches and all kinds of stuff, and just fed myself with, you know, wholesome foods. Made some different tea blends. I only had 1 cup of coffee, which for me is huge. But my throat was really sore. And so I knew that anything that would dehydrate me would just make it worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I found some lemon eucalyptus essential oil blend,
Ooh.
and I took a hot, steamy shower.
Oh,
And
yes.
you know how
Oh,
you
yeah.
see where people like take the eucalyptus and hang it over the shower?
Mhm.
I didn't have anything like that. So I took like a washcloth and got it like really hot and steamy and put the oil on the washcloth.
Smart.
And I draped it on the back of my neck. So the oil was on
Mm.
contact with my skin. And then I just like stood under the hot water and the steam, like, you know, just like lifted it up.
Yes.
So I
Power of the
got
shower.
sick. So I had to use the tools that were around me to make myself feel better.
Mhm.
Very good. Very good. I would say successful lesson learned on that. Feeling a little more connected to where you're at again. Feeling a
Yes.
little less in the air, I would hope.
Yeah. Yeah,
As moving
definitely. And
moving will
in the
always do.
meantime, I've landed 2 gigs so far. I've got a pharmaceutical merchandising gig that I just completed
Yeah.
training for, and I have an interview at a liquor store today.
Yes.
So I know that they're not like big, exciting career moves, but I think that right now I really am supposed to be focusing on taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
My immediate thought to that was like, do you need to be like that is
And
such a
literally.
oh, because that okay, good. I'm actually glad you said it like that because that loops me around to a topic that we were talking about amongst ourselves. That like the it's all about like, people meet you and it's like, oh, well, what do you do? Like that's such a
Right. Your
huge
Yeah.
identity.
Yeah.
sect of who you are. And
Yes,
so we were
ma'am.
talking about how on my magical journey, especially being a solo practitioner, I feel the need of like needing like a title or like a something
Mhm.
like like
Mhm.
it's so easy to be in the spiritual community to like identify you into like a certain sect of spirituality. Oh, you're a medium. Oh, you're a psychic. Oh, you're a this.
Mhm.
Oh, you're a that.
Mhm.
Oh, you're a healer. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what mine is. So like that's just a fascinating, personal, magical, societal struggle of that. Like, do we really need the titles anymore? And even as I'm
Mm-mm.
saying that, trying to rationalize with myself, there's this part of my brain that's like, obviously, because like, how will anyone know how to define you? But like, why the fuck does
But
that
who
matter?
cares? Why does it
Right,
need to
right.
come you?
Right. And because it puts so much pressure and strain on everything. Like, Becky, like you're panicking because like you don't have a job title. And like I'm
Right.
over here panicking because like I don't have a magical title. And like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how much
So
energy are we wasting?
yep. So to on that same topic, I was thinking yesterday that it has been since 2005, whenever I was in college. I did a study abroad in Brazil, and I got back in the summer late enough that I couldn't have a job over the summer. So it's been since summer of 2005 that I have not had full-time employment. So that's a
That's
part
a
of
long time.
why I am like, my identity is what I do.
Right.
What I do
Right.
for a living is part of who I am. And being someone who cares for animals, that is a part of like my identity, that I'm a
Right.
vet tech or I manage a vet clinic or whatever the case is. Like, I'm a healer of animals. I can still be a healer of animals without having full-time employment doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is certainly a word for me. That brings me back to how we were talking about the Ten of Wands earlier.
Mhm.
And just about like holding on to too much and like trying to
Girl, that has been the
carry
story
too
of my
much.
life. Yes. Literally the story of my life is trying to carry
Mhm.
too much and then dropping it and feeling like a failure because I
Right.
can't carry it
Yeah.
all. Well, there's no way that anybody could carry all the shit that I've been trying to carry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Funny
Absolutely.
story about that. I was telling you that I was 2 days ago. I took Zelda for a walk in the morning, and that's been something I've been trying to build into a routine, but not being set on that it's first thing in the morning or whatever. She just likes to go for a walk, so we're gonna go for a walk. And we walked down to the end of the road, and I want to walk around to check out our barn. There's a part on the edge of the property that is a big barn without anything in it. And there's old silos and 5 acres of corn over there. So we walk over there, and it's kind of farther than we usually walk. So I decide that we're going to go back through the cornfield to get back to the house. And I see this spot on the edge of the field where, like, oh, look, there's no weeds over there, and we can just cut down this path. So we start, Zelda and I, trekking down this path on the side of the cornfield, and I look down, and there's a bucket.
Mm.
Oh, cool! There's a bucket. I love finding buckets. So the other day, I found feed pans and all kinds of stuff on the side of the road. So I pick up the bucket. And I'm like, great. Now I can like pick up the trash that I find on the way because people be throwing beer cans out their window.
All the
Right.
time. All the
Road.
time.
Trash.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, now I have a bucket. I can like put trash in it. So right after I pick up the bucket, I look down and I see a piece of paper and I pick it up and it says, "Are you looking for a job?"
What?
I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And so there's a name and a phone number of a local company that does irrigation. So I reached out to them and I haven't heard anything about it, but I just thought that that was really funny that it was like,
Yeah.
I pick up the bucket and I'm going to go pick up trash and like, here's a job lead. Like, are you looking for a job? So I pick it up and, start walking with my bucket. And Zelda and I get to the edge of the field and there's a huge ditch. So I was like, oh shit, we're not going to be able
Crap.
to get through that way. Either we turn around and go back and then go even longer away back around the way that we came from, or we cut through the side of the field and it didn't look like it was too bad. So we start walking and then there are these weeds that are up like my thighs and I'm wearing like little gym shorts. Not to be walking in a cornfield. But the weeds were up there and they're like, Zelda's just like having the time of her life. She's like, going through the weeds and like, this is awesome. Like trying to go down like the rows of corn because I have her on a leash. And I'm like, no, we're not going through the cornfield. So we trekked through and it was a little harder than I planned on. I carried a little bit more than I should have there. It took a bit off a little more than I could chew, but we made it down there and, maybe just like a couple little bumps on my legs, from running into some of the weeds and that kind of thing. But we had fun. We got a good workout. We left with our bucket and then we picked up, the trash that we found on the side of the road on the way back. But
I don't think that there's any better metaphor for life, right? Like you're gonna go through some thigh-high weeds, you're gonna pick up some trash on the way. Spirit's gonna speak to you very directly.
Right.
There will be a foolish brown dog next to you, just anticating,
just enjoying life, just loving it.
It's very like the fool energy.
Yeah.
That's especially with the dog and the like just looking to the sky and being happy and enjoying the moment. I think that that's a poignant lesson.
And I just think it's so funny because, this has been such a lesson in humility for me and where I'm feeling like, I don't have all the answers and I don't have it figured out. And I look around and I'm like, nobody has this shit figured out. They're just pretending.
Nobody has it figured out literally at all. And I laugh at us us as humans. Like I laugh at us because like I feel like that's such a human thing to be so hyper occupied with outside of us on the mission to make ourselves better. But the only one who's putting the pressure on us is just ourselves because nobody knows what's right. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Like, come on. Some people are just really good at pretending.
Yeah. And I've been talking to my mom, through this process, and she knows how frustrated I've been with, trying to find a job and all this stuff. And, I was like, she said, I'm sure that you're just frustrated because, you're almost 40 and you feel like, you don't know what you're doing and, you thought you had it figured out and everything, but you'll get it figured out. She's like, I'm over here at 67 trying to figure out what the hell that I'm doing with my life. So,
yes. And that oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. I completely forgot that this happened on the way to Sister Fest 2023. My little sister and I were on our way up there. And I don't remember, oh God, what was exactly the time? It had to be like 1:11 because, okay, yeah, that checks. We're in the drive-through getting some lunch before we go up to Mississippi to my older sister's house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I noted the time, obviously, mystical pitch, 1:11. I'm like, okay, paying attention. Coming around the side of us is a big white truck, and big white trucks always make me think of like knight in shining armor energy, kind of like, like that's our modern big white steed. And it was like this big obnoxious, like the dude probably had a very tiny dick, big truck, like kind of, but the important part of the message, sorry, I got sidetracked. The license plate said never too late. And that is such, I agree with you, Becky, because I feel that pressure magically that like, okay, I'm 34. Like I don't really, I've been studying tarot for 10 years, but I feel this pressure of like, not the same, like not having like a magical career, I guess, like that. It's such a fascinating feeling that like I've got a lot of like societal boxes checked. I've got a relatively good job. I'm married. I have a house. I got my 2.5 dogs and a cat. Like, like all of these things from the outside for like, lack of a better term, normies, everything's really put together. So I think people sometimes don't understand why I feel this sense of incompleteness. And it's because I'm working on that aspect. Like I'm trying to find my magical completeness. And the universe is literally over here constantly shouting, it's never too late.
Right. And I think the other side of that is that you always want to be learning and growing.
Yeah.
So you don't want to reach a spot where you're like, oh, I've learned everything. I'm done now.
Right.
I'm done growing.
Right. What's the point of being stagnant? And like, I think that's what people recognize in me, that like, there's always this, I'm moving, I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to do. And it's like, well, why? You're so young, you've got life figured out. And I'm like, fuck you, no way. Like there's so much I don't know, and part of my goal, especially not having children, is that I get all of this extra time to really focus and immerse myself in these things that bring me knowledge and then fulfillment behind that. I surprise myself sometimes when I talk, guys. Like one of the notes that in my notebook from the water magic episode was about emotion, feel it to move it. And I think we do so much of that magic here. Like we talk about our verbal processing all of the time. Fascinating, ladies. I don't know. I know we had initially said that this would maybe be a two-parter, but my incense stick is just about done and it feels like a timer. Do y'all have anything else?
I feel like we're done for the day.
Oh, yes. I think for this conversation.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I was saving these till the end. I have this Enchanted Blossoms deck. It's a combination of like flowers and butterflies and dragons. It's like the most precious thing. I'll definitely try to remember to post these pictures. I know we're not super great about that, but the words that came through, they were all B's, 3 B's: beginnings, bravery, and beauty. And I think that the progression of that is really fascinating, that like new beginnings are terrifying. So we must be brave to get through them to see the beauty behind them.
You know what I thought of though with that? It was like a progression.
Yes.
Like a maiden, mother, crone type of progression. Like you have your beginning and then you go through this bravery because life is fucking terrifying. All these changes and things that you have to overcome. And then at the end, then you have this beauty. And the beauty is the result of your bravery.
Yes. Oh,
I like
these cards are so pretty. I'm sending you guys a picture right now. They're all these little purple. There's a lot of purple on these cards, which I think is very befitting of the spirit magic conversation.
Agreed.
Yes. Is that it, ladies? I think it's time for us to wrap it on up. All right. Well, everybody have a spirit-filled week. And as always, stay magical.
Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Annalisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. Thank you again, and as always, stay true to your magic.